A very good evening to all of you, my dear students of class 10 ABC. I hope you all will be very fine, healthy, happy at your residence. You will be safe also along with your family members, and you should be safe. It is my hope. Right now, we are studying about the second chapter of our civics book, that is called Federalism. Second chapter, that is called Federalism. In Hindi it is called Sanghatmak Sasan Vyavastha. So we were discussing, we have already discussed the characteristics of federalism. Then what makes India a federal country? We have discussed these issues also. And today we will discuss the list system in India. Okay. Today we will discuss something important about the list system in India. Okay. So in your class 9 I have told you that there are total 3 lists. I mean the power or the states power have been shared in Indian democratic system from 3 point of view, and those 3 views are just the list. In these list we find some subjects also, like the first list is union list. Okay, this union list includes subject of the national importance such as defense, foreign affairs, banking, communication, and currency. Okay, these are some. Now, in a very simple word, we can understand that these subjects are under the control of central government. Okay, of the country. So, defense, foreign affairs, banking, communication, and currency. All these issues are under the leadership of central government. Central government is responsible for these subjects, for making rules and regulation for these subjects, and all the states are required to follow it. They are included in this list because we need a uniform policy on these matters throughout the country. Very important line. Why these subjects are included in this list? Because we all need a uniform policy on these matters for the whole country. The union government alone can make law relating to the subject mentioned in the union list. The subjects, the matters that are mentioned in union list are liable to be implemented by the policies made by central government. Okay, सो हम इस यूनियन लिस्ट में देख सकते हैं कि बहुत सारे सब्जेक्ट हैं, जो कि अप्रॉक्सीमेट 99 सब्जेक्ट हैं इसमें टोटल, और उसमें से कुछ इंपॉर्टेंट के यहाँ पर जो नाम दिए हुए हैं, जैसे डिफेंस. डिफेंस मतलब जो सेना है, हमारी आर्मी है, लाइक आई मीन इन्फेंट्री, देन एयर मिलिट्री आर्मी एंड एयर फोर्स ऑल्सो, नेवी ऑल्सो, देन पैरामिलिट्री फोर्सेस लाइक CRPF, CISF, BSF. Okay, this one, what should I say, SSB also. Okay, all these kind of what should I say, paramilitary forces comes under central government. Along with that, foreign affairs, what kind of relationship will be Indian political, I mean Indian phase, and I mean what kind of foreign policy will be of India with the other countries of the world. It is also decided by the central government. Then the banking also. Banking, we need a uniform nature. So in banking sector, all the banks work under the, I mean all the government banks work under the policies of central government. Then communication also. Communication means, I mean the medium of conveying thought from one pole to another pole. And the final term is currency. Currency is also important. Currency is a matter of central government. Now this union list is given to the central government. Now central government will make some law, and all the states are required to follow those laws. Then second list is second state list. Okay, now in the seventh schedule, and now I would like to highlight something, that in the seventh schedule of Indian Constitution, these 3 lists have been mentioned. These 3 lists have been mentioned in the 7th schedule of Indian Constitution. Second one is state list. State list contains subject of state and local importance such as police, trade, commerce, agriculture and irrigation. Okay, I mean the subjects that are very much important from the point of view of a state are mentioned in state list. For example, police, trade, commerce, agriculture and irrigation. All these subjects come under the state list. The state government alone can make law relating to the subjects mentioned in the state list. The state government is responsible for making law on the subjects mentioned in state list. The third one is concurrent list. Concurrent list. Concurrent list means a mixed list. It means includes subjects of common interest in both the union government as well as the state governments. In concurrent list, the subjects that are very important from the point of view of both sides, from state government as well as from the point of view of the central governments, are kept in this concurrent list. Such a list includes of education, forest, trade unions, marriage, adoption and succession. This list mainly includes of the issues like marriage, forest, education, trade unions, adoption and succession. Both the union as well as the state governments can make laws on the subject mentioned in this. If there are any conflict with each other, lawmaking by the union government will prevail. Okay, if there is any kind of conflict between the law made by central government and state government, then the law made by central government will be considerable. What about subjects what do not fall in all these three lists? Suppose that some subjects, okay, I would like to repeat it again. In central, in union list there are total 99 subjects. Then in state there are total 52 subjects. Am I right? Yes, 52. Okay, and in concurrent list there are approximate 48 subjects. Let me check it once. I am little bit confused. Oh, I have a book with myself. Within 2 or 3 seconds I will able to find it out. Then yes, 7th. Okay, so as per the new Lucent book, the central union list consists of 100 subjects. Union list consists of 100 subject. Then state list consists of 61 subject, and the concurrent list consists of 52 subjects. Okay, now this is the exact data. That is why there was little bit doubt in my mind, so that is why I confirmed it, that central list is having total 100 subjects, then state list is having total 61 subject, and the concurrent list is having total 52 subjects. Okay, now the other subject who are not in this list, what about them? Who will make law for those subjects? So what about the subjects that do not fail in any fall in any of the three lists? Okay, or subjects like computer software that came up after the constitution was made. For example, we have a subject. What is the name? The name is computer software. This is also subject. In modern time is called the time of computer. So the computer software, what kind of policy will be made on it? Who will implement it? Who will be responsible for all these activities? Now this is a question to be answered. According to our constitution, the union government has the power to legislate on these residuary subject. The remaining subject, the new subject, these all subjects are under the control of central government. We noted above that the most federations that are formed by holding together do not give equal power to its constituent units. Now this is another aspect. Before 2 days before, we studied that there are two type of, I mean, federation. One is coming together federation, for example, USA, and second is holding together federation, for example, India. So now there is a question now for the holding together federation. We noted above that the most federations that are formed by holding together do not give equal power to its constituent units. Thus, all states in the Indian Union do not have what should I say, identical powers. Some state enjoy special status. Now, it depends upon the historical background, upon the specific geographical condition, that in I mean within being being within a federation also, some states are enjoying some special power. For example, in India, Jammu and Kashmir has its own constitution. Okay, earlier it was, but in last year, now the article 370 and 35A has been removed. So with the removal of those articles, the special rights or the special constitution of the state Jammu and Kashmir has also fallen down. So Jammu and Kashmir has its own constitution. Many provisions of the Indian constitution are not applicable on this state without the approval of the state assembly. But right now this is not available. Okay, right now the circumstances have changed, and Jammu Kashmir is also part of India. I mean, earlier it was also part, but the special status that was awarded through article 370, and these lines also comes under 370 article. So all these special provisions have been removed out from Jammu Kashmir state right now. Okay, so not applicable to this state without the approval of the state assembly. Indians who are not permanent residents of this state cannot buy land or house here. This compulsion has also been ended up. Then the similar special provisions exist for some other states of India as well. Okay, these are some units of the Indian Union which enjoy very little power. Okay, there are some units of the Indian Union which enjoy very little power. These are areas which are too small to become an independent states, but which could not be merged with the existing state. Now we are talking about union territories. Okay, union territories, I mean, are such a kind of geographical phenomena. Those are although found, but we cannot merge it into any state usually. Why? Because these union territories keep specific geographical condition with itself. Mostly one, not the all one. Like we can't say as Delhi is also union territory, but it has no specific geographical background. But the UT like Lakshadweep, the UT like Andaman Nicobar Deep and Puducherry have their special geographical and natural phenomena. So these UTs can't be merged up with the states. These areas like Chandigarh or Lakshadweep or capital city of Delhi is called the Union Territories. These territories do not have the power of a state. So what the message is that these territories don't have the power of a state, but they have the power of, I mean, these territories have some special kind of power. The central government has a special power to running these areas, and ultimately the central government is responsible to look after these territories in a very well manner. This sharing of power between the union government and the state governments is basic to the structure of the constitution. Okay, again the important thing that now this power separation or this sharing of power has been followed according to the norms of the constitution. It is not easy to make changes to this power sharing arrangement. I mean, now we are talking about the constitutional amendment. What we are talking, we are talking about the changing of some article in the constitution. So it is not a very easy process. Okay, earlier I have also told that there are total three steps, I mean three ways to change the constitution of India. Okay, so but it is not a very easy process. This sharing of power between union government and the state government is the basic to the structure of the constitution, it is not easy to make changes to this power sharing arrangement. The parliament cannot on its own change this arrangement. Okay, any change to it has to be first passed by the both the house of the parliament with at least two-third majority. Now procedure has been told that how can we make some change in our constitution. So for making any kind of change in our constitution, any subject should be any bill should be passed by both the houses. Two-thirds, two-third majority of from both the houses of the parliament. Then it has to be ratified by the legislature of at least half of the total states. And after that, for making some change in the constitution changing bill should be ratified or should be passed by the two-third, more than 50%, 50, minimum 51% legislature of the total states. Suppose that in India total 28 states are there, so minimum 15 states should pass this constitutional changing bill. Only that the constitution will be changed. Now another paragraph that is also important: the judiciary plays an important role in overseeing the implementation of constitutional provisions and the procedures. Now the judiciary plays an important role 100%. The third organ of our government: number one legislature, number two executive, number three judiciary. So now we are talking about judiciary. So the judiciary plays an important role in overseeing the implementation of constitutional provision and procedure. Ultimately, who is the preserver of the constitution? Okay, who is the protector of the constitution? So it is the responsibility of judiciary to take care about the constitution. If somebody is putting some wrong law, or if somebody is trying to play with the fundamental foundation of the constitution, fundamental ideas of the constitution, then judiciary can take direct action against that institution. And ultimately it is the responsibility of the judiciary to keep the constitution fair and out of corruption. So the judiciary plays an important role in overseeing the implementation of constitutional provisions and procedures. In case of any dispute about the division of powers, the high courts and the supreme courts make a decision. If there is any case of the violation of the constitution, then it is the high court and the supreme court that can make a decision. The union and state governments have the power to raise resources by levying taxes in order to carry the government and the responsibilities assigned to each of them. Okay, now in this heading another thing has been mentioned, that the union government has a power and the state government has also power to raise resources. Okay, to raise economic resources by levying tax, by implementing the various kind of tax. On whom? On the common people of India, on the businessmen of India, on the traders of India, on the companies of India, on the foreign, what should I say, FDI, foreign direct investment of India. On all these things, the central government as well as the state government, in their appropriate means, they can implement some taxes, they can levy some taxes, and for getting some good resource, good economic resource to carry the government, so that they can run the government and the responsibilities assigned to each of them, and they can also fulfill the those responsibilities that are assigned to them according to constitution. So this is the role, this is the power sharing phenomena of Indian constitution that I told you. I told you about union list, I told you about state list, and I told you about concurrent list also. Okay, along with that I told you that what is the constitution changing method. Okay, then I told something about union territories also, and ultimately I told the role of judiciary in controlling the corruption or in controlling the misuse of constitution. Okay, so all those things I told you. I hope you will be getting benefit from all these videos. If there is any suggestion, then ask it to me, kindly pass it to me. I'll implement it in my videos. And after that I would like to say that stay safe in your house, keep well, and What is your homework? You just finish the exercise of second chapter and show it to us. Okay, so send it in Google Classroom, or you may send it on WhatsApp also. Please show it to me and write the exercise of the second chapter. Thank you for joining me.